Coming up tonight on YCN News, defendant James Robarge is found guilty of murder. And Vermont National Guard soldiers are headed to Massachusetts. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 11th. I'm Laura James. Welcome to YCN News. A Sullivan County Superior Court jury found 45-year-old James Robarge guilty of second-degree murder today for the killing of his wife in June of 2013. WNTK reports the former Charlestown resident had been accused of killing 42-year-old Kelly Robarge and dumping her body in a wooded area near Britton Road in Unity, New Hampshire, on the day she filed for divorce. It took jurors approximately 12 hours, spanning 3 days, to reach its verdict in the Newport, New Hampshire courthouse. Robarge was found not guilty of first-degree murder, suggesting his actions were not premeditated. He faces up to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Vermont National Guard soldiers are headed south to Massachusetts. 40 troops and heavy-duty snow removal equipment will help the Commonwealth dig out from record snowfall over the last 2 weeks. Now, there's about 70 to 80 inches of snow on the ground throughout the state. The Bay State is picking up the tab for help from Vermont. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin spoke last night to Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker to work out the logistics. Shumlin signed the order authorizing the deployment of Vermont National Guard troops to work in Massachusetts. Massachusetts requested help with snow removal through the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. That's a state-to-state mutual aid agreement where resources for disaster response and recovery can be requested and received. Shumlin says the state is glad to help its neighbors when they need it. While the work of the Vermont, New Hampshire legislatures moves forward in this new session, New Hampshire State Fire Marshal Bill Degnan sends another seasonal message. Consider adopting a fire hydrant. Degnan thanks people throughout the state who already have added fire hydrant clearing to their shoveling routine. He was so taken aback that he noted the locations in Concord at the corner of Canterbury and Pembroke Roads and in Nashua at the corner of Berkeley and Cortlandt Streets. Clearing out a fire hydrant so the firefighters can see and find it when seconds count can mean the difference between life and death for a person or family in trouble. A fire yesterday in Franklin was put out quicker because the nearby hydrant had been cleared of snow. Fire is everyone's fight, says Degnan. Check to be sure home or apartment smoke alarms work and have an escape plan too. Across the river in Windsor, Vermont, town officials are scrambling after it was announced that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, would be sticking to $380,000 they've allotted to repair portions of Brook Road washed out during Tropical Storm Irene back in 2011. Windsor Town Manager Tom Marsh told the Select Board Tuesday night that the funds are about $1 million less than the lowest bid the town received to repair the area located between Route 44 and Estee Lane. Town officials are now discussing the possibility of improving nearby roadways to use as alternate routes. FEMA's funding would be withdrawn if repairs aren't completed by September. Is raising the smoking age in Vermont the best way to curb tobacco use by teens? Well, State Representative George Till of Jericho thinks so. House Bill 93, if approved, would raise the legal age to buy cigarettes or other tobacco products in Vermont. Till introduced the bill to other state reps last month. A medical doctor by earlier training, Till says in the bill's text that people ages 18 to 20 buy 90% of the cigarettes used by teens under age 18. If it's more difficult for older teens to buy the cigarettes, this may curtail smoking by younger kids. It's now being reviewed in the House Committee on Human Services. Additional bill sponsors include Chester's Lee Dakin, Woodstock's Allison Clarkson, Hartford's Kevin Christine, and Putney's Michael Murabricki. After the break, we'll have more news from around our region.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. There's a new school superintendent in Newport and Croydon. The SAU 43 School Board came out of a non-public session last night to announce they had named Dr. Cynthia Gallagher to the post vacated by Earl Sussman. Gallagher had served as the interim superintendent since Sussman's sudden departure last month. Her contract is for 18 months and her salary will begin at $95,000 and rise to $97,850. Several residents attending last night's meeting asked if the board considered giving Gallagher a longer contract. Gallagher has held several positions in the Newport School District, most recently as Director of Alternative Education Programs and Assistant Director of Career and Technical Education. Also in news and happenings from Newport, New Hampshire, just when you thought you can't take much more of winter, a cabin fever jazz night may be something to consider attending. The Newport Library Arts Center invites you to the jazz night featuring the Bill Rosen Quartet. The event will begin at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, February 19th at the center. The Library Arts Center is at 58 North Main Street. A gourmet dessert table and coffee bar will be available. Tickets for this popular night out are $15 in advance and $20 at the door. Meanwhile, Valentine's Day is this Saturday, and as we turn to thoughts of love and care, well, some may agree that this holiday bright spot helps us get through the winter months. It may be curious to see what the ticket sales for a movie based on a best-selling book turn out to be. Now that we're talking about that steamy book made into a movie, 50 Shades of Grey. There is a controversy in some circles before the film's opening tomorrow. A Wheelock College professor in Boston tells WBUR that instead of watching the movie, people should donate $50 to a local women's shelter. And Professor Gail Dines started the social media campaign, $50, not 50 Shades. Dines says the movie glorifies the world of soft porn and abuse to women. The movie has an R rating, but thinking of the credo that it's only a movie, the website The Wrap has a different take on which people in what states can't wait for the movie to open. The Wrap, according to New Hampshire Public Radio, pored over Facebook data and found this information. Maybe that should be enough to give you pause. So in case you're wondering about which states where people are eager to see the flick on a scale of 1 to 10, New Hampshire ranks number 6. Vermont comes in at 9, Rhode Island is at number 10, and West Virginia at number 1. Well, steamy movies aside, the winter season also includes the more pedestrian lead-up to the annual town election, first in Vermont and then in New Hampshire. Residents of Springfield, Vermont will take to the polls March 3rd at the Riverside Middle School Gymnasium to elect town and school district officials and vote on an additional 28 articles. Among the articles up for vote are the town and school district budgets, as well as the establishment of an unsafe building reserve fund to fund the enforcement of the town's unsafe buildings ordinance. Springfield is also asking voters to approve a $100,000 allotment to the potential fund. Now, a town meeting will be held March 2nd in the Springfield High School in the cafeteria starting at 7:30 to discuss matters up for vote. Rockingham, Vermont voters will also head to the polls on March 3rd with their annual town and school district elections to be held at the Masonic Temple at 61 Westminster Street. The ballot features 13 articles, including a request to use $60,000 for the purchase of a one-ton rescue vehicle for the Rockingham's Fire Department. Of the $60,000, $45,000 will be raised through taxes, with an additional $15,000 to be taken from the town's Fire Equipment Fund. Voters are also being asked to approve $381,906 to support operating expenses of the Rockingham Free Public Library and elect town and school officers. A town meeting will be held March 2nd at the Bellows Falls Opera House at 7 p.m. Well, turning back to New Hampshire now, voters in Hanover will begin studying the 2015-2016 town budget on February 25th and 26th, and again on March 2nd and March 3rd. YCN News will bring you ongoing coverage as we head to town meeting season in both states. YCN News has a correction to make. American aid worker Kayla Mueller graduated from Northern Arizona University. When YCN News returns, we'll join Sean Bowman. He spoke with Christine Heath of Sugar River Bank.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. Let's check that forecast now with Matt McDonald.
Thanks, Laura. Snow is expected later this week, so be prepared. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a low around 3. Thursday, the snow may begin. Lows will be around 3. Less than half an inch of snow may accumulate. Thursday night, there will be a 30% chance of snow with a low around 1. Wind chill values may be as low as minus 12. Friday, there will be a 30% chance of snow before 9 a.m. with a high near 9. And Friday night will be mostly cloudy with a low around minus 15. And now let's preview our YCN community calendar. On Friday in Claremont, there will be income tax preparations at the Senior Center from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. In Hanover, there will be a community dinner at the Lutheran Church starting at 5 p.m. Remember, you can see our full calendar online at ycnnow.com/calendar. And now it's time for YCN Sports. We have some game results from last night. The Lebanon Raiders girls basketball team dominated Mascoma Valley in a 69-32 win. Newport defeated Interlakes 57-38. Turning to boys basketball, Hanover defeated Co-Brown 56-44 in a game last night. And we don't want to forget the incredibly close Mascoma versus Lebanon game. Lebanon won 46-45.
Thanks, Matt. When YCN News returns, we'll join Capital Connections' John O'Connor for part 3 of a conversation with Jeff Barrett.
The YCN News continues in a moment.